back to Cindy's Library. This is Cindy, and today I'm going to talk to you about everything I have read so far for the month of August. So let us begin. So the latest book in the case files of Henry Davenport came out, All Fun and Games. And indeed it is all fun and games until people start dying in this book. And of course, it is up to our intrepid duo, Jamie Edwards and Henry Davenport, to try and figure out what exactly is going on, because it's not making a lot of sense. And in the meantime, well, let us just say that their sweet relationship progresses. And I had so much fun with that, I couldn't resist. I ended up rereading the first 3 books in the series. So, for anyone new to the series, Jamie Edwards, she is from Earth, but she got pulled to a different world by an evil witch, the most evil, most powerful in like a century. Jamie managed to kill the witch and get out of where she was, but she's kind of stuck on this alternate world. Fortunately, it's close enough that she can live there. Unfortunately enough, she has no way of getting back home, and probably can't even if she could find a way to get back home, because her magical core is now extremely unstable thanks to all the experiments the witch did on her. Well, fast forward 6 months, a year, in any case, since she was in the FBI, Secret Service, something like that on Earth, she figures join the police. And that's exactly what she does. And she ends up getting put with Henry Davenport, who is a magical examiner. And between Jamie's Earth know-how and extra strength and speed and senses that the witch's experiments gave her, and Henry Davenport's knowledge of the world and especially of magic, well, let's just say they become a great team together, and it's very fun watching them grow from tentative acquaintances onward. See, I also read The Tempest by William Shakespeare. Might be his last play, and it certainly is poignant. You have Prospero, who's been living on this island for years with his daughter Miranda, and with Caliban, who, well, let's just say Prospero's not very impressed with Caliban. And he summons a storm and, quote unquote, wrecks a ship and divides the survivors, all for the purpose of, well, it's a good question what he wants to do. What we do learn at the beginning is he was extremely wronged. He was it the Duke of Naples or Milan? One of those, but his brother, with the help of the other duke, deposed him and sent him and his daughter into exile like a dozen years earlier or something like that. So, what is Prospero going to do now that he has his enemies in his hands, finally? I also read Northanger Abbey by Jane Austen for a book group. Okay, maybe it's not exactly the best Jane Austen, but it sure is fun and I love it. Catherine, she is so innocent and naive. She's going into society for the first time. It's just so fun to watch her. There's some characters you definitely love to hate and some characters you definitely love to love. But the thing about Catherine is she has an imagination filled with all the Gothic novels she has read. And we'll just say that leads to some interesting situations along with her figuring out how to be in society. I also read Parnassus on Wheels. So for this, we have Helen McGill. She, 15 years earlier, something like that, her brother bought a farm and brought her there after she was a governess. And ever since then, she has been a farmer looking after the chickens and the cows and the cleaning and the baking, and the list goes on. And to begin with, her brother did help with that. And it would be unfair to say he doesn't help with any of that since then. But he has discovered the joys of writing and become an author. And so he is always writing or going off on trips to get inspiration for his next book. Well, one day, a man named Mr. Mifflin comes by with a wagon, but not just any wagon. It is a custom designed wagon uh, built to house a traveling bookseller. And Mr. Mifflin, he wants to sell out and thought that Mr. McGill, Helen's brother, might like to buy it. Well, Helen isn't going to have any of that. She won't see him for the next 3 months at least. And so she decides to buy the wagon and books and everything instead and goes off on her own adventure. And what follows is amazing. Let's see, I also read Richard II by William Shakespeare. So, yes, this does cover the reign of Richard II through his being deposed by who ends up becoming Henry IV. And it's very interesting. I mean, we see exactly why people are so upset with Richard II, but on the other hand, he gets some of the best speeches, and you can't help but feel a little bit sorry for him. You know, if some of the people around him had been a bit better, maybe things would have gone better for him. And yet you can't help but feel that Henry is kind of justified to. Of course, how close this is to actual history is an open question, but I'm finding myself having a taste for Shakespeare's histories, which I would not have guessed, but they're really quite fascinating, actually. Let's see, what else do I have? Let's look at my list here. Oh, yes. Small Change, The Secret Life of Penny Burford by J. Belinda Yandel. Also read this for book group. This is the story of Penny. We start with her as a little girl loving to help her father in his ministry, especially at Christmas time, giving things to the poor. But then an experience changes some things, changes her perspective. And we also see, let's just say, how sensitive and difficult things can be for the poor. And so this is the story of her growing up and finding her own way to continue what she loves, but hopefully in a better way for everyone. Little bit rough in a few subject matters, a little bit rough in language at a part or two, but in the end is just so sweet. Really enjoyed it. So I think that is everything I read in the first half of the month of August. So you'll have to see what else I can get through in the second half of the month. So, how has your August reading been going? Hope it's been going just as well. I'd love to hear all about it. If you have any favorites, I'd love to hear about that too. Thank you so much for stopping by. I truly do appreciate it. So until next time, I hope we all stay safe and healthy. And as always, happy reading.